What's going on, everybody? This is Cody, the home theater hobbyist. Today I have a brand new pair of speakers I want to tell you about. These are the REN by Kanto Audio, a pair of powered or active bookshelf speakers. And I'm excited about these speakers because they include an HDMI port, so you can connect these directly to your television and get great sound straight from your television. But they also have an auxiliary port, an optical port, RCA, USB-C, and Bluetooth. So you can connect your computer, your tablet, your phone. You can also connect a turntable and your television to these speakers. But they also have a subwoofer out connection, so you can add your subwoofer in and get that beautiful bottom end that you want when you're watching movies. And quite frankly, they're just very versatile. So that's what I like about them. But I want to talk to you about my experience with these speakers, both with and without a subwoofer. So let's get to it. All right, so like I said, I want to talk about these speakers, but I should make mention of one thing. I have these speakers sitting on the Kanto Audio SX26 speaker stands, and I really like these speaker stands because they are really well thought out. So I did a separate video on them, and I'm going to put a link to that in the description below. But as I said in the intro, I like these connections on these speakers, but I also like the fact that these speakers come in several different colors. This is the matte gray surface finish, but they also come in a black, white, blue, and orange. So if you're feeling funky, you can buy the orange, you can buy the blue, you can just buy, whatever color that you want. And I like it when manufacturers give us the option to buy different colors. So I encourage you to go out and buy the different colors, buy the blue, buy the orange, just really get the color that suits your needs. And I like that a lot. Okay. But as you can see, I've got the active speaker right here, and you can tell it's the active speaker because it has some controls on it. It's got the multifunction control down here. This is the multifunction selector, so you can turn the volume up and down. You press it in, it'll actually turn the speaker on. You can also do input selection with this particular control right here. And then over here, this little black sensor is the IR sensor for the included remote, and I'll talk about this in a minute. And then just left of that is the little LED status light. So this allows you to know that the speaker is on and which input is selected. But because this is an active speaker, it also has the connections on the back for your RCA, your HDMI, your USB-C. All of those are on the back of the speaker, but it also has the power connection. So you will need to power this with this included power cable, and you can switch out which speaker is the left and right speaker, and I'll show you how to do that with the remote in just a moment. But again, power cable. But it also comes with speaker cable in the box. And so you're going to connect the speaker cable from the speaker to the passive speaker. And that's how the passive speaker is going to be able to get signal so it can make sound as well. And the binding posts are 5-way binding posts. So you can do the bare speaker wire connection, banana plug, spade connections, whatever you want to do there. That's really cool. But one thing I like about the speaker wire is it is super long. It's over 16 feet. So technically you could have these speakers 16 feet apart, but most people don't need to have them that long, or that far apart rather, but they give you the extra cable length so that you can do things like route your speaker cable through the built-in cable management on your speaker stands like the SX26. So I like that a lot. They've really thought about how you're going to use these speakers. And again, I like those SX26 speaker stands. So just wanted to give Kanto a shout out for giving us nice long speaker cable. So far, I have shown you these speakers with the speaker grills attached, but it's easy to detach them because they are magnetically attached. Just give them a little tug and it pulls off. But you can see right here, this is the back of the speaker grill, and it's plastic on the inside, but it's nice and sturdy plastic. Don't have any issues or any concerns about it breaking or anything like that. But right here is the 1-inch silk dome tweeter, and right here is that 5-inch bass driver. Now, the back of the speakers, this being the active speaker, has these ports on them, and this is a bass extension port. These speakers will play down to about an audible 40 hertz. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I start talking about bass, but you've got the port back here. And again, this is the active speaker with all of the different connections, including the speaker wire connection, the main power on, power off button, and that power connection right there. But like I said earlier, this does come with a remote, and this remote is actually pretty nice in the hand, and it's got a lot of different features, including the main power button up here, and it's got this sound mode button here. You push it once and you can do a vocal boost, so that'll boost the mid-range frequencies so that you can hear dialogue more clearly in movies. But if you press this twice, you can actually go into a night mode, which basically reduces the bass response so you don't get as much rumble and you don't disturb the neighbors. And on the far right is the volume control. You can go up and down with that. And just below that is the mute button for the speakers. But next to the volume control are the treble and bass selections. You can actually increase or decrease either one according to your preferences. And below those two buttons are resets. So you can set those back to the nominal position. If you're kind of like you're not really sure where they are, you can reset them back to nominal, which is nice. And then you have all of the input selections down here. They also give us an LED intensity button, so you can either turn the LED completely off or you can go to different levels. Personally, I found the level just below off as being, dim enough that it didn't distract me during movies, but I could actually see, what the status of the speakers were. So that was just my personal preference. And last but not least are the play, pause, skip forward, skip back buttons here so that you can, skip forward and skip back during your listening sessions. But one thing about these two buttons, skip forward and skip back, is if you push and hold these buttons, and it tells you in the manual which one you need to push, it allows you to change what's going on with this active speaker. So say for instance, the active speaker comes out of the box as a left channel, but you need it to be on the right side of your equipment rack because that's where power is. That's where all of your connections are. You can put it on the right side and then push and hold, I think it's next track for 5 seconds, and that will switch this to the right speaker and the passive speaker to the left speaker. So it allows you to really set your system up the way you want it to be set up. After I got the speakers out of the box, I set them up and I played music on them for several hours just to sort of break them in, flex the rubber a little bit on the drivers so that I could begin my critical listening. And then I set them up on these speaker stands and I played with the speaker positioning just to really find out what stereo imaging works the best. So I towed them in, I had them straight on, and I towed them out. And I found that the straight on position worked the best for a stereo image at my main listening position. So that's how I listen to these speakers, but you can try your setup and figure out what works best for you. Now, once I did that, I began watching television. And the first thing I noticed was I was able to use my television remote or streaming remote to actually change the volume and mute because the HDMI connection does have consumer electronics or CEC control. So I didn't necessarily need to use this remote. But once I moved on to listening to music and Bluetooth and the different inputs, obviously I did use this remote for volume. But when watching TV via HDMI, I didn't have to worry about it. So that was nice. Now, I did try my normal Jurassic Park with these speakers. And the first thing I noticed was I wasn't able to get volume from the speakers. Now, this movie has a DTS-X soundtrack. So I thought to myself, it's probably because my TV audio format needs to be changed. So I went into my TV audio menu and I changed the format from bitstream to PCM. Once I changed it to PCM, I was able to hear sound on that disc. So if you have a disc that's not playing any sound with these speakers, go into your audio format menu on your television and change it from bitstream to PCM, and that should fix the issue. Now, for my listening impressions, I found the overall presentation to be a little bit laid back with a nice prominent mid-range and a little bit warm sounding overall. At the high end, you get detail, but it's not as crisp or as clear as some other speakers. When I compared them to the Kanto Tux, the bigger brother of these, I found that the Tux were just a little bit crisper at the high end and a little bit more dynamic, and maybe you heard that in those audio samples. But once I moved into the mid-range, that's where these shine because it's nice and prominent, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. Vocals are nice and clean and crisp, and when I was watching movies, I didn't have any issues hearing dialogue. When listening to music, I found that the lead singers were nice and prominent at the front, and you could kind of tell that there was some vocals backing them depending on what song I was listening to, but the lead singer was nice and prominent. And in the bass department, I found that these speakers are nice and linear all the way down to 40 hertz. It can actually play an audible 40 hertz tone. Do I think it's the best 40 hertz tone? No, I wouldn't say it's the best, but you can still hear it, which is a plus. But like I said earlier, you can add a subwoofer to these speakers, and it has an internal crossover set at 80 hertz. So basically everything below 80 hertz can be played by the subwoofer if you plug one in. I don't have any of the Kanto subwoofers here, so I plugged in my own Energy Take Classic 8-inch subwoofer just because it's a little bit smaller subwoofer, just to see how it would play with these. And I found that with it tuned to 75 dB at my main listening position, that gave me nice bottom end when I was listening to music and watching movies. During the famous Jurassic Park scene where they're first seeing the dinosaurs for the first time and they're stomping around, bump, 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 I could hear it with the RENs, but that subwoofer really gave that impact that I was looking for in those movies. So for me, if I were buying these, I would definitely plan or go ahead and add a subwoofer to it just to give you that nice bottom end, which will allow the mid-range and tweeter to really perform. Now, some of you are probably asking, what types of music are these speakers best for? First of all, they will play any type of music. They'll play your classical, your opera, your gospel, your hard rock, your country, your rap, your world music, all of the different types of genres of music, these will obviously play. But I believe they shine most with more of your jazz or your laid back style music that's just kind of smooth and mellow that has a prominent mid-range. But again, like I said, they will play pretty much anything. Now, if you want the more dynamic presentation, I'd go for the Tux, but the Tux will cost you a little bit more money, so just an FYI. So some of you may be asking, do I recommend the Tux or the REN? Well, if you are looking for a little bit brighter, more forward presentation, especially at that top end, I would get the Tux. But if you want a nice smooth mid-range and just nice prominent vocals, I'd go for the REN. They're $599. You get all of these connections back here, which is fantastic because you can connect everything and you can pick the color that you like of all the different colors. So I think these are really good speakers for a really good deal. Also, don't forget to pick up a subwoofer, especially if you want to enjoy movies and get that nice bottom end. So that's what I think. But if you have any comments or questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them, or someone else may answer them as well. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to use the link to purchase these. Give us a like, and we'll talk to you next time.